Hey, welcome back, McBickba. Issue 3, World War Hulk. We're with the single issue today, not the trade, so easy show of the cover. Another David Finch. And as I said, John Romita Jr. on art and Greg Pak doing all the writing. So, where we left off, enter Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. That's where we pick up. Old Thad is right here in the beginning. He's talking about how the civilians are all crazy and all the people will never learn. Hulk always comes in. They always act like he's a savior, he says. When really, he's not. They do this every few years. He's wanted, comes in, helps, saves the world. They do some celebration or view him as a hero, and then he goes off and goes crazy again, he says. Happened before. It says, Doctor Strange sent him away, so we had that reference earlier. This is what we talked about. So he says, but everyone makes excuses for him. I did myself. He was the most brilliant scientist I ever met. My daughter was in love with him, and we all said it wasn't Banner's fault, it was Hulk's fault, blah, 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 back and forth. But what he says is really what it is it's all his fault. So they made him an adamantium statue before, and he says, so this time I got an adamantium tribute for him, and I hope he chokes on it. And they just start shredding. It's a nice 2-panel page. They're shooting adamantium shells right through the Hulk's skin. They're shooting off payload after payload. I mean, they're just dropping bombs on him. So Rick Jones is all upset. He says, doesn't matter. They were bringing the rain on this. So the matter, so they're just tearing him up with adamantium. Meanwhile, Strange is still trying to get into the Hulk's brain. So finally, he says, "This attack with Ross, it's allowed me. He's forced the door, and I'm in now. I'm with the Hulk." So he says, "Come along, Bruce," and he keeps referring to him as Bruce. So he takes him on an astral plane while there's a physical fight going on Earth. They're on the astral plane, but Hulk imagines that it's Sakaar. So he's fighting Strange here, but physically, down the bottom there, fighting the armed forces, fighting Ross. So, it's a little crazy twofold fight here. So Strange tells him his anger means nothing. I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, and I can snuff out your feeble life with the merest of thought. And he says, but why don't you show me your true face, my old friend, and let's see what we can talk about. And then Hulk does transform back down into Banner, and he says, and that's what she said. And he's referring to his queen, Sierra. She told him the same thing, show me your true face. That is how they were able to... That's right after the scene, or before when they win and everything, and he ends up turning into Bruce Banner, and then that's when they go ahead and make their baby. So, excuse me. And he says in his brain he always hears her voice. So now he's kind of imagining that, which is kind of fueling his anger. And as him and Strange are talking. Strange says, I did agree. I thought we should send you off planet. I thought it was the best for everyone. But, we had nothing to do with the explosion. And he's like, please just go away. And he says, how long have we known each other? Tell me, all these things. How many battles have we fought beside each other? And he says, tell me I'm lying. And he says, Steven. He's like, you've always been my friend, Bruce. Always. Now perhaps we can work on this together. And he says, and so he goes to help Bruce up. And he puts his hands in his hands to help him up, and he says, easy, my friend, I've got you. And the voice box changes from this brownish tan color that's Banner's voice. Why can't I do it? Banner's voice dialogue box are tan outlined, and it turns to green. And so the next image we see is the Hulk holding on to Strange's hands, and he just crushes him. So in real life, and it just mangles his hands. And in the meantime, his body was just getting barraged with all the adamantium. Where they got all this adamantium, I don't know, because it's supposed to be a very rare metal. But it always is talked about how rare it is, but they always have tons of it. They can find it all over the place, apparently. So they're just letting it rip into them, because remember, we used adamantium earlier to try to shoot those nanites and all this stuff. It's all over the place, apparently. It's not as hard to find as come by as we're told, but led to believe there. So, but the Warbound is protecting him. That's no longer the case. The Hulk is unleashed again, madder than he was because of Stephen Strange's interference. He brings all the soldiers down. He uses the big sonic boom clap, takes care of that. Goes after Ross. Ross is shooting him like right in the face, shooting him right in the eye, and he's like, "One day someone will finally kill you." And they go crashing to the ground, and that's it. That's kind of the end of this situation. We flip over, and now we're the president's talking to Commander Hill, Maria Hill that is, asking what we can do, and she says, "No sir, scientists say that even shooting the nukes or everything will only make the Hulk stronger. We need a higher power now." But the president's like, "But he's an agoraphobic schizophrenic," and they're referring to Bobby Reynolds, the Robert Reynolds, the Sentry, and so he pleads with him. They kind of had a script for him. And he goes in because it's a really sensitive situation. They want him to come and help him. Well, they go through the script. He kind of loses track. He's like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to tell him straight up words." And he says, "You can shake the schizoac and get done what needs to be done." And then he just says, "We're blanked," because we're relying on this maniac. So we leave the president, and the Sentry did stand up, and he kind of is standing in his room and like walking towards the door, I believe it looks like. He's at least standing up, staring at the TV, and we get a shot of the outside of his house. And it kind of pulls away. We never see anything, no one comes out or anything, but we just see the door opened. Now we flip over, and the Hulk is at Madison Square Garden. He's at MSG, baby, and he's tearing it up. He's making an arena, just like the Red King had. And he said, they're like, "This is a lot smaller than the Red Kings." And Hulk says, "It'll do. It'll do." So, Rick Jones is kind of hanging around this coffee shop, and they're like, "Nope." Hiram uses his powers, and he says, "No, this isn't a coffee shop. This is the magician's place," because Strange just attacked him. So now they're out looking for him, because he's the last one they need to collect. But we get a little, the new Avengers, part of them, Echo, Iron Fist, and Ronan, they all come out to start attacking the Warbound. Iron Fist just punches Hiram right in the left forearm, blocks that, and Eloy Cafe, she just is shattering swords left and right. The Death's Head Guard zaps everybody with their little staffs, and Iron Fist is like, "Whoa, man!" And he's like freaking out, and he's like, "I'm Hiram the Old Strong. Tell me your name, human." He says, "Iron Fist," because his hand, and he's holding onto his wrist because he didn't expect it to be so strong. Like when he hit him, he just kind of expected to take the win. And he says, "Well, I will pray for you, Iron Fist. Now he who dies, may he die well." And he shoots him right through the building. They're inside the Sanctum Sanctorum now, and they all get implanted with discs. Hiram breaks down all of Strange's enchantments, and he ends up making his way to Strange, and they all are taken back to where I'm sorry. He makes his way to Strange, and Strange says, "May he who dies die well," because he has just called on the eternal power of Zan. So, we flip back over to MSG. Rick Jones is brought before the Hulk. And, he's kind of... Meek is always pushing the thing right now. He's pushing the Hulk to do more, But he's like, "Everyone's always trying to confuse you with talking. That stuff will never bring it back." Because he's that world breaker. So, little human, come. it's time to make it end, and then boom, and then Hiroim comes thumping in on the ground, all battered and bruised, and he's like, not just yet. You see this blue kind of different outline for the dialogue, and it says first, strange smash, and we get a good look at the very end of the book. Stephen Strange is channeling Zom, the demon. He's like and he is going to come and try to tear up the Hulk. And he's quite large. So, yeah, he has a good chance, it looks like, because we're nearing the end here. We're at the halfway point. So Strange has got a power upgrade, and he said he could do this. He said that he could take him out anytime, right? We've heard that more than once. So let's see if that's true. We'll have to catch up that in issue 4. Now, in the meantime, that brings us to the end, and we're going to look at what we thought. Again, there's never any changing artists or anything changes on it. It's all the same and stuff, but I don't know. Maybe as I read it, and it's a lot of big characters, the Romita art grows on me more. I don't really... There's panels that will definitely remind me it's him and then disgust me. But for the most part, I'm not minding it again as I'm through 3 issues. So I'm doing fair in art. The story's still solid, I think, and Greg Pak is writing a good story. So I'm going to give that one another 4. Maybe 4 1/4, but, you know, somewhere in there. It's still, it's a 4. I mean, I think we're running at 4s right along. I don't think you'll see anything shoot up. You know, we'll see. The first one was great, and I probably would have given it a 4 or 5. But I probably would in retrospect still. But that art just always gets me. So, yeah, there we are. Looking at another solid issue. And so we have 2 more to go. We're going to pull out 4 tomorrow, 5 the next day. So, in the meantime, have a good one.